Not the owner, but glad to be a part of First Presbyterian Church of Visalia, which is the owner of 210. And tonight is a perfect example of why 210 was opened up, and that was to create space for the community to come together and talk about issues that are relevant and important to all of us. And so thank you so much for coming out to 210 tonight. Thank you for being interested in this very important topic about how to, find meaning in life after work. And so we really appreciate you being here. And Paul Hurley is going to now take over the moderation of this discussion that I am ready to take notes on.
Not for a while yet.
That's right, not for a while,
Thank you.
Dan.
Thank you, Pastor Dan Birchfield. I didn't build me up too much. Sometimes it does happen. Our planning team was sitting around planning like we do a couple months ago, I think it was. And one of our members who is approaching the time when they, and I'll use a non-binary pronoun there, will decide, I've done enough work. Now I'm going to do something else. What the heck is something else? What do we do? A lot of people hit that wall and they think, okay, it's over. I can rest, I can lay down. What are Paul's words there, Pastor? I have run the race. I have fought the good fight. And it's over. Well, most of us find out it ain't over. You got a whole bunch of time left to do. I think I read somewhere that the life expectancy of Americans in 2023 is 78 years old. Our Social Security level of retirement is anywhere from, right now, and the needle keeps moving, right? From 64 to 68 years old. 72?
It's
With
gonna
full
move up to
kind of like
72.
You get the absolute full amount, yeah.
full benefits. I myself retired from the official working world a lot earlier than that. I know it doesn't look like it, but anyway, many of us have from 10 to 15, almost 20 years from the time we end our work life, from the time we end our life. Now, we've had some forums before about preparing for end of life. Things like setting up estates, preparing your funeral, creating annuities, moving to assisted care, living, health issues. This tonight is not about that. Tonight's discussion will be about how do you find meaning in your life after your job is no longer your meaning for life? What do you do? How do you find things, create things that will give you not just pleasure, comfort, or even satisfaction, but meaning. Meaning, that's a tough thing to define, what meaning is. But for us tonight, we're going to take it as, what do we do to make us feel whole, a contributor to society, a fulfillment of our lives and our purpose. when we no longer work. It's actually an exciting time of life. It's actually an opportunity to do a lot of things that maybe we thought about through our entire lives before that, but we only have the chance to get to now. We thank you for being here tonight to this forum. Tulare County Voices at 210 is a monthly forum to examine issues of importance to our community. It's co-sponsored by First Presbyterian Church, which owns this building, and we are extremely grateful to First Presbyterian Church to allow us to use this gratis on the second Tuesday of every month. And the Visalia Times Delta. It's a newspaper. I hope some of you have heard of it. I used to be employed there before I got to my time of life after work. And so did a few other people in this room, but I'm not going to out them, because that would be embarrassing for them and for me. But anyway, we're grateful also to the Visalia Times Delta for co-sponsoring this and giving us some support and promotion for our events, our forums, every second Tuesday of the month. And thank you all for being here. So, life after work, finding meaning in retirement. We've assembled 5 people here who we think might be able to contribute to some meaning to this forum. And I'll start here with the big fella, the president of College of Sequoias, and a friend of mine, Brent Calvin. Thank you for being here, Brent.
Thank you, Paul.
We hope Brent will give us some insight into learning in your life after work. Kelly Kincaid, whom I don't know, but I'm sure we're going to be good friends before the evening is over, is the director of the Visalia Parks and Recreation Department. To talk, yes, thanks. I think that she's going to talk about pickleball. No.
Oh, that's why MJ's here.
Been a running joke here with us for the last couple of weeks, but thank you, Kelly, for being here. Lou Paradise is pastor, and he kind of explained to me what his official title is, but I know he is now serving at First Presbyterian Church in Hanford. Correct, Lou?
Correct. Till the end of the month.
And I'm told that he's got particular insight into guiding and ministering to, let's just say, experienced people.
Okay.
Does that work?
Fair enough.
All right. Donna Orozco is a super volunteer here in Visalia. She's representing the Arts Consortium as you a board member? There you go, okay. Are you a board member there, Donna?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she also has more bylines than anybody else in the Visalia Times Delta, like by far.
Lately.
Lately, yeah, well.
Because all you guys retired.
Yeah, I
were
know,
retired.
well, that guy back there who takes photos, he's got his name in the
Yeah.
paper a lot too, but thank you for being here, Donna, I appreciate it. And finally, from the Area Office for Aging, a title which I never get right, whether I was writing it out in paper or saying it, Mary Thomas. Mary, thank you for being here. Mary, start with you. What kind of challenges, what kind of obstacles do people face when they start not being at work anymore?
They don't know what to do with themselves. They need to find something to keep them busy.
Okay.
And if you can find something to help someone else, that's a good advantage for them, but also for you too.
Something to help someone out. Can everybody hear Mary? Or should you get that mic closer to her? Probably.
Mike's close.
Okay?
There you go.
I hear an echo.
All right. now
There
we'll-
you go.
Yeah. How many people do you think are in this position? What is sort of like, do you have any idea the demographics of our communities, number of
I
folks
do-
out there?
I don't, but I know that the baby boomers are now retiring, so there's more of us than they're being basically born right now. So,
Yeah, so there's, does that represent a drag on the community or an opportunity?
it could be an opportunity because we have knowledge. A lot of us are fairly well educated. We went to grammar school, high school, some to college, and we have the need to do something. And we grew up in an area where we took charge and tried of our lives, but also tried to help others.
Do you have people that ever come to you and ask, what do I do now, Mary? What's going on? What do you say?
There's a lot of things that you can do. I have a group, talking about recreations, there's a group of us that meet on Thursday mornings at Quail Park and at Shannon Ranch, and we play Mahjong. And we've opened it up for people who would like to learn how to play American Mahjong to come and learn how to play it. And it's a way to meet people, see something different. Usually we go out to lunch afterwards, but we open it to the whole community that wants to come and learn.
Where's that happen?
It's at the Quail Park at Shannon Ranch.
Oh, at Quail Park?
Yep. They're behind Lowe's on Thursday mornings, 10
You're
o'clock.
Off the top of your head, are there any other events like that you can recommend?
Well, there's the senior center with the gadabouts. I've gone on a number of gadabout trips that they have. They have daily trips. They're fairly reasonable. They have great lunches at the senior center. So there's a lot of different things. And then, as I'm with the Kings-Tulare County Area Agency on Aging, and I sit on their advisory committee. We need people. We have, right at the moment, we have almost 10 vacancies of people to sit on the advisory committee. And the advisory committee, we oversee what is happening with the funds that are authorized to us and how they can be used to benefit the seniors in the county. It is Tulare County, because we also cover Kings County. Our governing board are 3 board of supervisors from Tulare County and 2 board of supervisors from Kings County. We meet the third Monday. Next Monday, we're going to meet in Corcoran, because we haven't been in Kings County and kind of interested in the drive to Corcoran. And
Yeah, next month it will be.
yeah, then the next one we'll have would be the third Monday of July, and it's at the Connections Building, which is where Kmart used to be. And they meet there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the governing board meets. And if you're interested in trying to help seniors, if you could join the advisory committee, that would be great. We do budgets, we review the budgets, we offer grants for people to our organizations to help out, and part of your responsibility as a member of the advisory committee can be to review the grant proposals and help make a determination as to who should receive the grant. In addition, something that I didn't know about, California has a senior legislature. And a lot of people don't know that. And it is basically part of the Area Agency on Aging. Most of the members that attend, we have a senator from Kings County. Our assembly person that we had that attended was from Tulare County, but he has stepped out of being in the Area Agency on Aging, so we have a space there. And what they do is they meet, they go over pending legislation and make a determination if it'd be positive for the aged or if it needs to be changed. Does it need to be rewritten? And so they meet and they discuss them, and make a decision as to go pro or con on those. So there's a lot of different things you can do with that.
Who do you contact? Somebody who would want to get involved, or just talk to you after the meeting?
They can talk to me after the meeting, yes,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Great. That sounds like something that everybody can contribute to that would improve the opportunities for seniors, right?
Right, and improve their lifestyles too.
Great. Good, good, good. Where do I want to go next?
We don't know where you want to go next.
You're outing Kelly there.
Yeah, I see him.
Saw my shadow?
Recreation, health,
Yep.
keeping moving is a big part of people as they age in maintaining their lifestyle and their meaning in life. So let us know, Kelly, what kind of opportunities we got?
Well, first of all, I want to say, if you can hear me, clap your hands.
Yes, you're good.
Again, if you can hear me, clap your hands. Right? So, recreation, moving, keeping it moving, and one thing I just want to clarify is that I like to use the term active adults, not seniors, because we are all in different phases of our lives, right? And when you talk about just retiring or in the middle of retirement, so I have another question for you. How many of you are recently retired?
What do you count as recent?
Last 3 years. Okay. All right. Okay.
Push it a little bit, Kelly. Make
Okay.
it 5.
Okay. All
That's
right.
five.
We'll do 5. Well, that 5 was next.
Okay.
Okay. 10? 15? All right. Okay. All right. How many of you are new to Visalia?
1.
2. I'm going to raise my hand. 3. Okay. All right. Good. So
How many of you are looking at retirement within the next 5 years?
Oh, okay.
All right.
That's good.
All right. Good.
I think that's kind of like why we're here.
Exactly, exactly. So I get a lot of calls, emails. I'm thinking about retiring. I just want to make sure that I have a plan, that I know what I'm able to do once I retire. Because for a lot of us, including myself, our job has defined us whether we wanted it to or not over the years and years that we've gone in. So we've almost become like this robot, right? We're in, out, dealing with whatever our family dynamics is afterwards. But then when you don't have that anymore, what do we do? Where do we go? Do we get up at the same time? Do we travel? And so those are all questions that you certainly have to ask yourselves.
And who are we?
Right. Who are you? Who do you want to be, right? It looks different for everyone. So just a little story about myself. I retired last October. I put 25 and a half years in a city in Arizona, and I wasn't ready to stop working yet. I felt and feel I have a lot of years left in me, but I was at the point where within the retirement system there that I was at that top tier. So what do you do? So I thought, I need to make a plan, right? I just don't want to, I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to use my mind. I want to be effective with where I'm at. I want to be invested in the community, and not that I wasn't there, but I had reached a point personally that, you know what? I can draw my retirement and I can go do whatever else I want to do, right? And it's a wonderful feeling to be able to have those choices, because a lot of us don't have that at the very beginning of our career, right? And so recreation has always been a very passion and impactful alternative or resource to be able to tap into. So here in Visalia, how many of you have used our trail system? Yes. Okay. Can I ask a question? Do you know how many miles of trails we have here in Visalia? Take a guess, anybody?
32.
5
There-
miles?
There will be a valuable prize.
Uh-huh. How many? 40? Not yet, not that many. So we have 20. 20 miles of trails, and we are almost connected to the city of Goshen. So soon, you'll be able to walk from here to Goshen, or bike, or what have you.
Kelly,
Yes.
what are those trails? Just quickly, the main ones. We know
So,
Packwood.
There's
Goshen.
Packwood, there's, so again, I'm still new, so I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
going to give
okay.
myself a disclaimer, right? So I don't know the names, I'm just going to be honest, just yet. I know
I'm
we
not
have
trying to
20
test
miles,
you,
somebody else
just
can
a few
help
of the
me.
ones that you're aware of. You
So-
take the Goshen,
Goshen, St. John's.
John's,
Yep.
that's right.
Mill Creek.
Mill
Lots
Creek.
of different places.
Yep.
which goes right through the center of town, by the way.
Sure does, yep. And I also brought a brochure, so I brought a help, friendly, right? So in the back, as you're leaving, it'll give you that information. Let me ask this question. How many parks do we have here in Visalia?
40?
More?
Wow.
No, so I'm going to tell you the difference. See, you cheated. So we have 38 neighborhood community parks, and we have 30 pocket parks, which are in the LNLs. So a total of 68 altogether, right? How many of you have visited a park here and there?
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's good to see. So as we're thinking about what we want to do when we wake up and make our plan for the day or for the week or whatever, a lot of you have already visited some of those places. But it's those amenities within those parks that also generate what you like to do and how active you like to be. And then not only that, we have so many classes, enrichment classes, that range from arts to music to dance to basketball to pickleball to tennis.
Stop, don't, that's
I know yeah.
a dirty word tonight,
Right,
thank you.
right. But let's just talk about pickleball for a little bit, because let's just get it out there, okay?
All right, let's get it out there.
Right, it is a growing sport, and the pickleball, when you're talking about it in the community, it's just not here. It is everywhere. I was in a conference 2 weeks ago in Florida, and pickleball came up, right? It is everywhere. And so as a city and as community members, especially if it's something that it's your passion, because it gives you that, it's exercise, it's socialization, it's good for the body. It's just a number of things. And so it gives some individuals everything that they need. Now, if you want to learn how to play, there's a place to go for that. If you just want to see what it looks like and observe, you can do that too. So it just depends upon what you're looking for and what excites you and what moves you to be able to get that element of, okay, I have something that I can look forward to. I can make a plan around. I can pick up the Live and Play guide, which I have this postcard in the back, and there's a QR code on here, and it gives every type of class that we offer that comes out 3 times a year. If you want to swim, if you want to lap swim, if you want to learn to swim, just a number of things. And then on top of that, we have events, all different type of events. We're coming back from COVID, for a lot of us in businesses, just in general, we had a pause for a little bit, but we are making our way back, and we are doing more, and we're getting better with what we're doing. And we're always open to suggestions. So one of the things that I share with my team all the time is that sometimes in city government, we think we know what's best for everybody, and that's not the case. And nor should we be practicing that way. And so always have our ear to the ground and to the community to seek that feedback on what you're looking for. And not only that, you're retired, and so you all have worked in different fields, and you bring an area of expertise that we want to be able to showcase to our residents in Visalia on what they might want to be when they grow up. right? And so there's volunteer opportunities, not only in Parks and Recreation, but in Animal Services, in the Police Department, in this, just the city in general, right? Workforce has been a question on all of our minds since COVID, especially those that are still in the workforce, right? And we're short-staffed, and we're this, and we're that, and you figure, where did everybody go? Still don't know where they are, right? I mean, you pay more, you give flexible hours, flexible amenities, and you still can't get people hired on, right? Or you get them hired on and they leave, and so there's a number of things centered around that, and that's a whole nother conversation. But with that, those of us that are entering into that retirement phase or chapter in our life, you bring all that experience. And if that's something that you want to center around to be able to focus, we want to grab that experience and be able to share that with others, to be able to pick up that trade and understand from your perspective what they could be.
Kelly, do you see that live and play guide coming back to a tangible, a print product ever again?
So-
I mean, it was a wonderful thing, and it went to every mailbox holder in Visalia, and it was, you could pick up a copy everywhere, and then it wasn't anymore.
Yep. So again, things cost more, right? And so as a city, we need to be creative, and we need to be good stewards of all of our tax dollars. And so not that we won't print copies, because we will. And if you would like a copy, we still print some, right? We don't necessarily mail them out, but I do think that if I got enough interest from folks that wanted to still receive a printed copy, we could work with that. We will not move back to printing a copy to every household, but we will certainly print to those that still want that paper document in their hand.
Yeah, well, I think everybody who remembers that would agree with me that it was a fabulous resource. It really was. But I understand times change.
Yeah, but let me just tell
I
you
used to work for a
paper.
Paper.
But the benefit of it being digital, let me just tell you this. If there was an error in the brochure, or if there was a class that didn't go, or a class that we wanted to add, we couldn't add it. Now, since it's digitally, we can go in and we can add as we get people coming just saying, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, and yeah, we want you to do this. And so we have the ability to do that. We can't do that with printing copies, because we'd have to reprint over and over.
So my question to that would be, doesn't that eliminate the retiree who may not be computer or digitally savvy?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, it doesn't eliminate, because we still print.
And they
I
can,
didn't say that we eliminated the printing. We still print. We just don't send it out to all the households. You sure can.
It's a
There's
little hard to
areas
find.
that you can
Oh,
pick
are
it
there
up.
copies at Rec Park?
At the
didn't know.
Anthony
Okay.
Center.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they were all taken.
Is that the
but
only
we'll make
place
sure to
they're
get that.
found? Is that the?
So any of our facilities, there should
Okay.
be a copy of those at any of our recreation facilities.
that's good.
Fabulous.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know, as long as I've already started to put Kelly on the hot seat here, anybody got any other questions for her right now? No?
Oh, okay.
I was wondering if you might, I know in the past you used to have more classes for people with disabilities, and I was wondering if you were thinking of bringing them back, not just for retirees, but just overall.
Yes, so that is something that the staff are exploring as we speak, not only for just seniors, but we have something that's called adaptive recreation. And this is new to Visalia in general, and the staff has done a really good job. One of the things that we have already started to do is that when we have our special events, we have added a sensory space available for those that need to just take a pause and step away, because the events itself can be very overwhelming, and so we have started to add those to the events that we have had recently. we will have classes, we will have a number of things. We also need to make sure that the staff get trained and that we're delivering the best program and a range of options to those classes.
Any others?
Thought there was one
But-
more.
but-
No?
Yeah, she got her
You-
answer.
you
She got
got
the
it?
brochure.
Okay.
Kelly,
all right.
but, okay, one more. Kelly, I want to know, when are the World Pickleball Championships coming here to Visalia? No, never mind, I'm kidding. Don't even honor that with a response. Thank you very much. But, you know, this is a good segue to Brent Calvin. You were talking about classes and things that people can learn from the city of Visalia. We asked Brent to be here to talk a little bit about lifelong learning, about learning after work, and maybe what resources there might be at College of the Sequoias and how they're being met.
A computer class to help print out.
Their brochure, good idea.
You
So,
know, that's why we have him here. That guy is good with a segue, huh?
Good idea.
so first of all, thank you for having me. I'm Brent Calvin, lucky enough to serve as the president at my alma mater, College of Sequoias, back in my hometown. A dream job for me. And so thank you for having us. Always fun. And want to just introduce my colleague and soon-to-be retiree, LaDonna Droney back there.
Oh,
She's only been with the college for 40 years in our nursing department, 42. Amazing instructor and just a gem of a friend. So I do have some thoughts on lifelong learning, some of the various things that the college offers in terms of of interest to retirees. But first, I'll pass on some advice I got when I was a private business owner. I owned an engineering firm in Southern California. We worked on malls, hospitals, freeways, bridges, Toontown at Disneyland, all those sorts of things. And about the time that we decided to sell, somebody told me, you're going to want to get involved in something else so it's not your very last day of your employment contract after selling, and you got to find something different to do. And so there was an overlap for me. I started a new business here. That was in Southern California. Started a new business here, was able to transition back up here. And also in that kind of that 2-year, 3-year employment contract, I also started looking at things back in this region because by this time we were building a home back here in Visalia, my hometown. And the college was looking for an athletic director, and that's kind of how I segued into the college and figured I'd stay there 5 years until my employment contract ran out, my non-compete agreement ran out, and it just so happens that I love the work, and I've been there 22 years. And so that was great advice for me, though. Like, don't wait until the very last day you retire and have a plan. So timing is everything. And so be transitioning into kind of that new career. And I want to pick up on something Mary said earlier. She talked about the weekly groups that she's a part of. And it seems to me that almost everyone that's doing retirement well has picked up some kind of routine. I don't know that it's the job that we miss. I think it's the routine and the relationships. And I think those can be replaced with new routines and new relationships, or some of the same relationships in a different routine. Coffee groups, Bible studies, golf, the dreaded P word, pickleball. There's all sorts of things. Whatever your interest is, do it with a group and develop a new routine. So you may have a Bible study on Monday, pickleball on Tuesday. You may take a painting class on Wednesday and do it with either the same group or a different group, but get into a routine. Maybe you walk every morning with your spouse, and maybe you have lunch every Tuesday and Thursday. It just seems like the people that do retirement well have a nice routine and relationships, and I'm not sure that you'll miss the job. I think it's just the relationships and the routine. Personally, I've thought about that a lot. And I'm not looking forward to retirement. I love what I do, but when it does come time, I don't plan on not working. I just plan on not being up and out of the house by 6:30, and I plan on being home before dinner once in a while. And really, a 10 to 2 or 10 to 3 schedule, 4 or 5 days a week, really sounds good to me. And I don't know if that'll be involved with my church. We're very involved with the national Operation Christmas Child that sends gifts all over the world, millions of them, Franklin Graham's ministry. So we may get involved more in that. I love college athletics. I could see volunteering at Cal Poly and getting involved there, but hopefully I'll just be able to cut back my hours and not completely, because most of us really enjoy work and the routine and the relationships that come with a job. So after all that, I'll get to why I was invited, which is just to talk about COS and what we have to offer. And I think that Mr. Hurley invited me because for years and years, and maybe even decades, the community college system as a whole, 115 colleges statewide, had something that we call lifelong learning. Photography classes, pottery classes, art, culinary, you name it, we offered it, and it fell outside of the normal tuition. Not that tuition has ever been that much, but it was maybe a 2-month-long class, 8 weeks, a couple times a week, and it was $10 or $15. And it's been 10 years or so, but the state did away with lifelong learning as they knew it then, at least the fee structure for it. But that doesn't mean that we don't still offer those classes. They're just credit-based now. And so for instance, a culinary class would be a conventional semester long. It might be 17, 18 weeks, 3 hours a week, 50, 54 hours, something like that. And it'll cost $46 per unit times 3. So it's not $15 or $20. It's more like $130, $140. But for that, you get 50 hours of instruction and all the routine and relationships you want. Ends up being about $3 an hour. So lots of that. We've invested heavily in the arts, and whether it is the pottery or the painting or the drawing, but I'm thinking more specifically of theater, of choir, of band. We have community components for all of those things. In fact, our community chorus, you may have read about it, maybe even been. They played at the New Catholic Church, which just blew my mind. It was such a beautiful.
It was fabulous.
It was fabulous. Yeah. So that was our community choir. We've got a community band that played at the Fox Theater week before last. I don't think it was our community choir that played Carnegie Hall last month, but again, we've got a serious fine arts program. And then theater. We do some of the best theater in the entire valley, including Fresno State. There are some things that we'll take on that even Fresno State would think twice about putting on. For instance, Beauty and the Beast in our quad last year, 600 or 700 people outdoors for our production of Beauty and the Beast 3 nights in a row. When we drew 600 or 700 folks, spectators, every night. It was amazing, surreal, really.
The thing that a lot of people miss about theater is most of the jobs in theater aren't performing. There's a lot to do connected with the production that you could be involved with.
Yep.
And not have to act or sing.
So there are opportunities with the community component of all of those things. They can be found on our website, or Paul will give me my email address and I'll steer you to the right people. But in addition to that, that's if you want to actually be a participant in those things. But getting back to routine, we have a lot of active seniors that follow those programs. They don't miss a choir performance or a band performance or a theater performance. They just don't miss. Season tickets every year to all those. And, you can stack up a couple of events every month and kind of pair it with the Tulare County Symphony. We haven't mentioned that yet, but what a treasure that is to have in our community.
think we got
The-
somebody here.
Yeah, the Tulare County Symphony is just unbelievable. But then also our athletic programs. We have 17 intercollegiate athletic programs, and this year, for maybe the first time ever, and I'm not sure anybody in the state can claim this, but all 17 teams made the postseason with a combined, we're talking 400 athletes plus, a combined GPA of 3.1 GPA. Just amazing, amazing. And so when you look at 20 home baseball games, 20 home softball games, close to that in basketball, baseball, 5 home football games, tennis, track, soccer, just a lot of, if sports is your thing, you don't have to travel to Fresno or Bakersfield to get to a Division I venue to see really good athletics. And we've had football players go on and start in the SEC. This year we had 4 or 5 of our basketball players move on to the NC2A level for 3 years in a row now. Both of our basketball teams have made the state Final 8. And so we have a lot of retirees that follow all of our teams at home and on the road. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I'm saying that's something. You start following our fine arts or our athletic programs, even if you're not participating, you can fill several evenings a week and really have a good time. Yeah.
By the way, I think I read that you're building a new football venue, right?
We're enhancing our existing one.
Yeah.
Enhancing our existing one. We've had a turf practice field for soccer and football for quite some time. Through COVID, there were some challenges with continuing at the Mineral King Bowl, so we set up temporary bleachers and so forth, and people really liked it. It was nice to have it on campus, because that's one of the nicest things about our field house right there on Woodland. We get about 1,000 people in there for basketball and volleyball matches or games, and we've got video boards, and so you come for sporting events, but we kind of brainwash people, to be honest. We show our videos about our nursing program or our welding program or the partnership we enjoy with Fresno State. By the time you leave there, you've enjoyed a good sporting event, but you know all you'd ever want to know about College of the Sequoias and the partnerships that we have and all the programs that we have. And we just felt like, instead of doing it just for 1,000 people at basketball games, how about 3,000, 3,500 at football games, and obviously considerably less at soccer games, but still, that's why we've done that. So what we're doing is we're just making it really, really nice, permanent seating on both sides, concession stand, bathroom, enhancing the track and the tennis venue as well. It'll be the hottest ticket in town, because even in an off year, we draw 4,000 or 5,000 people pretty easily in Mineral King Bowl. And it's not a sellout. This will be a sellout at 3,500.
And ample parking.
Ample parking. Yeah, it won't even be as busy as it is on a regular school day.
Questions for Brett Calvin while we got him on the seat here?
Thanks very much. I was wondering, is there any possibility we could get somehow connected to the Osher Lifelong Learning Program that is at Fresno State? At least they have a branch of it, and I know that's really associated more with larger universities, but they have some really cool programs. And could we get something like that here, or do we not qualify?
Well, is it fee-based?
Yes.
There are some limits on what we can do with fee-based programs, but we will certainly look into that. Osher, O-S-H-E-R.
Oh, sure.
O-S-C-H-E-R,
Yeah,
and
Osher.
it's kind of
Okay.
an adult learning. They have kind of real interesting guest speakers. It's more of a short term, it's like a one-time event. So you wouldn't have to take a series of classes.
Okay. We will look into it. Donna says it's just like our old community service, which our system did away with. So we'll look into that, and if we are able to do that, we certainly be open to that. Because for us, the more people that we can get on our campus and seeing the various things that we have to offer, the better. That's the whole reason behind the football stadium. It's not so much about football, it's about connecting with our community. So if this is something that we're allowed to do, we'd certainly be interested in it.
Maybe you could do it through Fresno State on our campus.
Possibly.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Right here.
Weren't they going to make community college free?
It is virtually free for about 80% of our students, and the 20% that don't qualify just choose not to fill out the financial aid paperwork. I think the big hubbub in the last election had more to do with nationally or federally funded community college. In the state of California, that already exists and has existed for quite some time, at least for economically eligible, which encompasses about 3/4 of our student body. And in the last 5 years, they've made it open to anybody. If you're not economically eligible, you don't fall below a certain income threshold, then they give you 2 years. But they give you longer if you are economically challenged in that way. At any rate, virtually everyone is eligible for free community college. But you do have to go through some steps. You've got to fill out what they call a FAFSA, which is financial aid, so forth. But it's virtually, we can get at least 2 years for just about any student. There are some limits if you've already earned a degree, but there's not an age requirement, though. No.
If I may add something to that, my name is Donald Johnson, and among other things, I'm an officer of American Legion Visalia Post 18, just down the street at the Vets Building. For the children of military veterans, there is a program. You go through the County Veteran Service Officer, and you can get tuition fee waivers, where basically for qualifying children of qualifying military veterans, they waive tuition and they waive some of the student fees. So that's a program that's available too.
Thank you, Donald. We serve a couple hundred veterans and close to a couple hundred, 200 dependents of veterans through our Veterans Resource Center. Great program. Thank you, Donald.
Yes, thank you very much. Any other questions before we move on to Donna Orozco? Donna, you're up.
You're not going to ask me a question?
You've been here enough.
Yeah, you've been here enough.
Just start talking.
Actually, you're kind of coaching Coach over there a little bit too. So I
was
wouldn't
at
need
COS
it. Wouldn't need
I
it.
do need
That's-
it.
Right? Huh?
I do need it.
No, I was at COS when you were still a kid. In fact, I'm best friends with one of your basketball friends. So, yes, that was a long time ago.
Oh, Lordy, let's not go there. Donna.
So the thing.
You know, we asked you to join us because we know that you are a volunteer in many worthy organizations in Visalia, especially with the arts. So let us know what kind of opportunities there are for people with life after work. Actually, what you call them, Kelly?
Active
Active adult.
Active adults.
Yes, I wrote that down. So what we haven't talked
Move
about.
that
Close to the
microphone
microphone.
just a little bit closer to you.
What we haven't talked about yet,
Yep.
all these are wonderful things, but what makes it worthwhile, makes life worthwhile, is giving back and doing good stuff. Now, a lot of retirees are babysitting their grandkids and doing all kinds of things like that. So important. But there are so many groups that need your help, and they're all doing amazing things. And so there are boards, there are volunteer things, there are so many things to do. And I've been lucky. They've been sort of falling in my lap. When I was in Fresno, I always wanted to get involved and had no idea how to do it. And maybe that's what a lot of people have too. When I got here working at COS, they told me, oh, the symphony is part of your job. I thought, great. I've been on that board for 30 years. And then other things just kept dropping in my lap. And your friend Rami Sheremy is the one who started Friends of the Fox, so I got involved in that. Then a working friend was starting Imagine You, so I got on that. Now I'm at a group that's the Vintage, Visalia Vintage, and they want to start a Visalia museum. So I may be part of 3 startups, so that I'm pretty sort of excited
What
about
is
that.
Visalia Vintage? This is the first time I've heard about this.
Really? You don't know about, see, they're not
Yeah.
very well known. We're trying to become more well known. They're the ones who put up the signs that some people are like and some don't about the what do you call it? Downtown that's heritage, not heritage. Historic district.
Oh, the historic district, yeah.
And they're doing tours. They do tours.
oh,
Terry
okay.
Oman's real involved, but he's involved with
Yeah.
all that stuff. But
It's the
and
same group that published a book a number of years ago of historic homes
They've
and
done a lot of books.
places in Visalia, right?
But what they're saying is there's no museum here. Other towns have museums. We're the biggest town around, and we don't have a museum. So that's their goal. So there's so many things, and then CASA and all the helping groups. What I like to say is when I went to, I visited in Brussels a friend who, she was up with people, so she stayed with me, and I went over and visited her. Her husband told me, oh, in our country, we don't need volunteers because the government takes care of all that. I don't know if that's really true. I don't think it is. But here, we need people to do lots of things that paid people don't do, or to help those people. So, and I think that's what gives meaning. Yes, definitely, I do my walks. One of the first stories I wrote after COVID was all the walkways. I've discovered all the walkways in Visalia. I think I found them all. I'll have to see. And so, yes, do all those fun things. Go to the concerts. Do all that kind of thing. And then get involved in whatever touches you, because it'll be so meaning, and you'll feel like, yeah, I'm doing something worthwhile with this last part of my life.
Is there a clearinghouse at all these organizations that need?
There sure needs to be,
that
right?
need volunteers? Is there, a one-stop, whatever?
That would be great.
Like
For
a,
people, if you're trying to find and you don't know where to go to get involved, that'd be a great place. We do have one Fox volunteer here. Fox is a great place to volunteer. If you usher, then you can see the show for free. There's lots of things like that you can do too.
Yeah.
I don't know about a clearinghouse, but I think that's a great idea.
What are the pitfalls? What are the obstacles to being a volunteer?
So your thing is you get stuck with too much doing, right? You're working harder now than when you were getting paid to work. And that can happen, but when you're a volunteer, you can say, not today, or I'm sleeping in tomorrow. So yeah, but is it Ann Landers who says you got to learn how to say no? You do. But if you need something, if I get to the point where I have 2 days off and I don't have anything to do, I start getting itchy, and so then I go find myself something to do.
But you know what? I think Donna brought up a good point when you talk about the pitfalls, and you talk about that multi-generational family of, taking care of grandkids, taking care of different, folks, caregiver in your life. And so as a volunteer, because those entities such as the city and public service, we really leverage volunteers a lot. And so one of the things that we need to start working through is how we help identify some of those pitfalls. And so I like to use the analogy as, we have after-school programs, we train staff to take care of kids and that type of thing. And so during our boards and commission, if someone wanted to volunteer, that shouldn't be a barrier for them not to, because they have some other duties that would pull them away, but yet they still want to serve. And so those are the type of ideas and information and resource sharing that we are looking for to be able to better benefit and get as many volunteers as possible, but also making sure we're breaking down some of those barriers that are interfering with folks being able to serve.
I don't know what the answer to this is, but I know so many people in their life after work who have found themselves suddenly becoming either caregivers for their parents or childcare workers for their grandchildren. And that is pretty much defines their their schedules and their life after that. Not that that's a bad thing, but how do you work through getting meaning from your life when you are in that situation? Lou, I see you knitting your brows about that whole thing and sort of mulling it over.
Well,
What's your ideas?
first of all, do we have a time limit on tonight?
8:30.
Thank you.
Well, you're not going to use up all that, are you? I mean,
No,
we got
I don't
to-
plan to use up all that. I am interested in that. And one of the things, as soon as you say, the jobs that you list of being the caregiver for the children or the caregiver for the older adult,
Yeah.
the
I like
older
that.
adult.
I like that, yeah.
Okay,
Older.
that's safe,
Uh-huh.
right, who is, since you're an active adult and they may be older yet than that, those are jobs that sometimes get forced on us, and we don't necessarily want to have them, and I think there can be some hostility and some feelings of, I'm not getting to do what I wanted to do in my retirement feelings as well, and that's not a healthy thing to do, so.
Now you're really getting down to the bone there, Rev. Good for you.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
all right, and I'm planning to do that, and I'm planning to drop a whole bunch of good, standard little statements that we have in life. First of all, thank you for saving the best for the last. And then the other thing, I'm afraid that we're preaching to the choir here, because I'm guessing that most of the people and most of the faces I'm looking at here have a plan, and you've heard that all across this board, right? And so that's the other famous one, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay? So you got to have the plan working, and you want to start doing that even when you're Brent's age. He's just a young kid over here, and he's got to start working on a plan. What do I want to do? And I loved his idea of the organized day and the structure. I love the, 10 to 4 kind of schedule deal. And in there somewhere, you must consider in your plan, and I will just beat this over your heads left and right. You want to work on your mental health. College is a wonderful place to do that. Your physical health, the Parks and Recs have wonderful opportunities for you to work on your own physical life. I've listed then emotional, which is arts and music and all that, which kind of everybody has a little bit of that in there, but that's really important to keep all those alive. And then I say, hey, did you know you also have a spiritual side of your life? You knew I had to drop that in, right? I mean, the pastor guy's not going to forget that part. And I'm going to remind you of what Blaise Pascal said, because somebody said, oh, I don't believe that stuff, or that's a waste of time, or whatever. Pascal said, get in there, find out about it, spend some time with it, and when you're retirement, you got, those hours before 10 o'clock when you're still laying in bed saying, hey, is there something more in my spiritual journey that I should be asking? And I don't care what faith direction you're from, if you're Hindu or Buddhist or you're Muslim or a Christian or a Jew, any of those things, to say, hey, because Pascal says you explore it, and if nothing comes of it, no issue. But if something comes of it, it's a benefit. So it's a no-loss situation to explore in your retirement a little bit deeper. What's my spiritual level? What's the level at which I feel I have a relationship to God and to a greater bunch of people? Now, I have a number of things. You ask about pitfalls in retirement. Here's my little list that I wrote down for him ahead of time, right? First one, butt sitting. All right? Number one, got to get up off your butt, folks. Got to
Everybody stand.
Yeah. Then the other one, of course, is what we used to call the boob tube, right? Getting addicted to the boob tube. And now it's getting addicted to the computer. We also have people doing that. Or the famous phrase, well, I've got nothing to do. I think we've convinced you up here that there's plenty to do for seniors, for active adults in their lives and doing those kind of things. But there's also other addictions, and I do want to caution those things have a tendency to sneak in as we get older, and we just say, yeah, it's just easy for me to sip that bottle or take a little sniff of this or that or whatever to help my life. And I think that's really important to do. Now, got to put the plug in. People say, where do you get your social interactions? Where do you get your emotional life? Yeah, well, I think the church is one of the best places, folks, all right? Dan's got all kinds of great things coming here. You get involved in the life of this church, any other synagogue or place that you want to go to get involved and be exposed to other people and be willing to listen. That's the other thing I think happens in our older days is we shut people off. We don't want to listen to their lives. So when I see people being happiest and most successful in retirement, they're oriented outwardly, okay? They're looking towards doing something for their world. And if it's for their grandchildren and their family, that's great. I don't have any problem with that. If it's thrust upon them and they have to do it, I get a lot of resentment from folks that, you know, well, I have to take care of this. I take care of my mom. I have to take care of whatever. That shouldn't be a resentment. Hopefully, there's a outward-looking thing that you can do, something where you're not looking into yourself, and then using what you have. Everybody has something, folks, to do new things. Dan, Josh, and I are part of a covenant group that will meet tomorrow morning, and one of those people in that group just recently retired. And what are you going to do with your retirement plan? I'm going to play the ukulele. Wow, what a deal. And be part of a ukulele band. Good for her. I am proud that she has a plan of doing it. That's the only thing she had on her plan. Now, I think she should have some maybe mental things and some physical things. Because ukulele playing should be very emotionally playing for her. Music's always cathartic that way. And I hope that she will spend some time building her spiritual life as well on those deals. Well, out in your community, I think you want to invest in what you believe in. Okay, that's how you get the meaning. Something that you believe in and you care about, invest in it. And there are all kinds of things. What needs help? Do any of the things you heard today need help? You know, Brent may need some help over at the college. Hey, Parks and Rec's always looking for help. Those are good places. Churches are always looking for help and have ideas of things to do that way. And what needs correction in our society sometimes is the best place to get meaningful satisfaction in your retirement. Can I correct something that is wrong? And I think that's a really satisfying thing for people as we get older. So, now I have more, but I'm told not to take up the whole time. I've taken up 7 minutes. You're good to go, sir.
I don't know, Lou. You sound to me like you've talked for a lot more than 7 minutes at a time. But I do have a question. How do you get started? Either for a person who may have been involved in a faith community at one point in their lives, but found that did not meet their needs any longer, and so they left it, or people who have never been involved in any sort of faith community or faith at all, and see now, maybe, as you say, the need for enhancing the spiritual part of their lives. How do you get started?
You take the first step, and I encourage people to say, I don't have to go to one thing and have it fit me right off. I say go out and make an exploration time. I'm always big about a lot of planning, so I would say, okay, I'm going to lay out this 6-month period, and I'm going to go visit a Lutheran church here, and a Methodist church here, and a Baptist church here, and a Presbyterian church over here, if I want to explore Christianity. If I want to explore Muslim, I might have to go to this group or that group or another group, and plan to go to different ones and see what fits. Don't be afraid. I actually have a daughter that I'm very proud of this in her life. She goes into a new community, recently moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, and she said, we're going to spend 6 months looking before we decide it's good, it's bad, it's not good, whatever we want, or it doesn't meet our needs. And I think people just need to realize, yeah, you can't go to one thing, so oh, Dan wasn't very good, or Josh wasn't a very good preacher, so I'm not going back there on Sunday. I'm not going to waste my time with that. They're pretty good, by the way. They're good guys, and Josh will give you lots of head stuff that just blow your mind. Dan will help you move your heart. Sorry about that, guys. We'll talk in the morning. But you have...
I can't wait for tomorrow morning's meeting, by the way. It's going to be a killer.
You have to realize that you give yourself the opportunity to not find everything perfect. That's okay. And we just so often think, well, I'm going to go here, and if it's not right, then everything's wrong. And that's just silly. I mean, if I went to one art class, and I didn't like the art teacher, I'd say, I could quit, and I don't want to ever do art again. Or I could say, wait, no, I really was interested in art. Who else you got over there that teaches art and does things for me that I might have a better fit
Or
with?
at least try twice.
At least try twice.
Give them two chances.
Oh, at least, right.
Is it worthwhile to approach a pastor or minister and
Oh, they're pretty
directly
funky
and
guys.
say, huh? What? Oh, I guess not, huh? Yeah.
No, they're good. Yeah.
Sorry, Dan.
I think you will find pastors always want to help people. And I think they want to help them be the best and the full person they can be, including the fullness of their spiritual life. I have personally referred people to other congregations when they say, well, this doesn't meet my need, or that, hey, well, we'll try this. Point them over to another way. And I think every pastor that's there can do it. The other thing is you'll find compartmentalized in congregations different little areas that you didn't even know existed. I had a great situation one time with an older lady who, she was terrible at teaching kids and she loved to do it. And I had a high schooler who didn't want to be part of the high school group because she didn't fit in with the high school kids. But when I paired the two of them up to be the librarians, they did the most magnificent job together of doing the church library together. They both found a home in a place where they were uncomfortable in many other areas. And I think that's one of the things pastors try and do is, how can I match this up? What can I do to make it work for you? So, yeah.
You know, many of you have mentioned the social aspect of finding meaning in life after work. You stop working and you miss the relationships that you have founded and nurtured in your work life. And so after work, you need something to fill that, right? You need to connect with people. And we were talking to our planning team that there is some research that maintaining relationships with people of other generations, and in most cases, for active adults, it's going to be younger people. Making connections with younger people and maintaining relationships with younger people is apparently a very fulfilling way to find meaning in your life after work. Anybody have anything to talk about that?
Is that the intergenerational question here? Because I swore that I wasn't going to answer a 7-syllable word. Is that the one?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what he's working on, is the intergenerational.
One of the other planning members made me do that, Brad. I don't like to use seven-syllable words, but yeah.
7 syllables. How often do you see a 7-syllable word?
Hey, I can give you 9 if you want, but never mind.
Name a 9. Name a 9 right now,
never
Hurley.
mind. What about intergenerational?
I think it is
activity?
important. I think that we all enjoy relationships with folks that are either older or younger than us, and I think we all see that there's a different perspective and a different history, and I think that's why maybe our work relationships quite often are a bit different than our personal relationships or our long-standing relationships that go back to college or high school even.
Grade school in some cases. I know people who kept up with kids they went to school with.
Especially in this region. You know, it just seems like a lot of us maybe leave and come back and end up with folks that we grew up with. And that's great, but I do think that there is something about the relationships we have at work by its very nature. We end up with a number of different friends from different age groups. And I know at COS, and I would suggest this for everyone, if they can set up some kind of a retiree system. Our foundation has set up a retiree group through COS, and so they meet a couple times a semester. LaDonna, we're gonna get you on that group. We sponsor a brunch every semester, and then the group also meets outside of what we do on campus once a semester, and then they also plan 2 or 3 bus trips to various places together. To the coast or down south to the Bay Area, mostly day trips. And that's a good way to, like I talked about earlier, routine and relationships. Get the routine down, and you can keep some of the relationships from the people that you worked with and retired with. And it really is a neat little family, a family within a family, retirees from COS.
I actually know a person very close to me who had lunch today with people that she used to work with back in the day. It is a good idea. But what about connecting with people who are of a different age? How do we do that, and how do we maintain it?
Well, I'd like to comment to that because this one I looked at and wow, really raises some concerns. If we're working with really younger children, right? Let's say 18 and under, okay, I think it's really important for you to be supervised in that, have someone who's watching what you do with them, because these areas get really flaky, okay, from time to time, and then be very accountable with someone about it. And I think that goes with the older groups too. If we're trying to help them, because I would love to have someone come alongside of me who knew business things, all right, when I was young, because I didn't know business stuff at all, and it would really be helpful to have them come alongside and help me get oriented towards business practices and business things that needed to be done. And that's just the idea of giving what you have. So I don't care if it's auto mechanics or whatever, just keep yourself outside of visible, accountable, and have somebody who you can check back in with, how's that going, so that there's somebody watching over your relationship and those things.
I actually was at a meeting last week where we had a presentation from the Central Valley director of Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Right. There you go.
And made a terrific pitch about it, and that they always need volunteers. By the way, Big Brothers Big Sisters does do a very scrupulous background check. They're going to find out everything about your life, and if you've ever stepped outside of a crosswalk, they're probably going to find out about it. That's for the safety of their children. But I'm talking more about establishing relationships with other adults, but who are younger. Somebody in their 60s or 70s connecting with somebody who's in their 20s and 30s or 40s.
Right.
And I would think there's opportunities for that at COS, Brent, right? In classes or?
In classes, I mentioned earlier just the consistent fans that we have at sporting events. It runs from teenagers, college students, all the way up to people in their 80s for all sports, as well as I would say the concerts and theater plays. I mean, you get just theater aficionados, and there's no age limit or restraints on that. You do have high school students all the way up to folks in their 80s and 90s that frequent those.
Yeah, it's true. I know the Visalia Community Chorus, for instance, ranges from college-age voices to
Absolutely.
people almost at my age.
Yeah, great example.
Hey, Kelly, I would think that Parks and Recreation has some opportunities for people to connect with younger folks in all kinds of activities.
In our classes and our special events, and I echo what Brent was saying. I mean, just that fan base. I mean, even if you don't want to attend a class, but you just want to be around a different younger crowd, you get that with. I mean, we have baseball games at Rawhide, right? We have you have all the sporting events at the college or the theater, or the things that the Art Consortium is putting on, and your paint classes and your faith-based organizations. There's a number of areas within Visalia if you truly want to almost insert yourself in different areas of folks of different ages, that the opportunities are there.
Lou, have you ever counseled someone who is an active adult, who's come to you and said, I just don't have any meaning in my life. I just feel like so useless and depressed and not being able to contribute to other people that I don't know where to turn. What do you tell them?
Well, it's interesting that you put a qualifier on the active adult deal, because I really haven't counseled some. Usually by the time we're at that age, I've seen those people be more successful. The problem I have is the 45-year-old to the 60-year-old who's feeling like they haven't succeeded in their business, who haven't done well in their marriage. Those are the people I end up seeing discouraged, despondent, saying, I don't think I should be here anymore, those kinds of things. And yeah, I've had those, but not as much when we finally get to be that older adult. And maybe I'll see that more as I'm around now, but I have not seen that in the past, that age group is in particular sitting around saying, oh, In particular, I'm always looking for, I'm interested in ending my life. I have not had that encounter.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, it's encouraging at least that many are finding meaning after work. We're here to let you know how you can other ways to find meaning, if you haven't yet. Questions from anyone?
To anyone.
To anyone? About anything?
What- You know, I wanted to put in that I've interviewed a lot of people retiring over in my various jobs. People who had been at work for a long time. And so I wanted to know, well, the question was, okay, what are you doing next? Most of them said, I'm taking 6 months to clean my closets and decide what's next. And of course, I wasn't able to follow up with any of these people, how it worked. But I thought, you know, that's what if a spouse dies or someone dies, they tell you, you know, take some time, figure out what's next, and know where you are, and then go for it.
That does raise the issue of grief is a very interesting time period in the active adult's life, the older adult's life.
They're going to be confronted with that
Absolutely.
frequently.
All of us are. Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
gets to face that in life, yeah. And that is a very different journey. We do have to work with those kinds of things in life, but again, if you give them a time frame and said, this is what you can expect here, what you might expect there, what you might expect over the time, I want you to live through these things, and I want you to be accountable. Come back and report to me how those things are going in that journey. That's the best thing, is to have a place to be accountable to talking about those things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My mother was a volunteer in something called senior peer counseling. This was in Lodi, so I don't know if you've heard of it. And she was a teacher, so she got really involved, and she was teaching the classes and everything. And she worked with these people who were often in that situation. They didn't see what was next or anything that was good that was next. And so hopefully there is counseling available for people. And if things to do, sometimes things to do don't work, but or they're just past that. They can't get past the despondency. But if you can get them involved in something.
There's a wonderful program, and I think, do you have Grief Share here as part of the program of this church?
We have.
Yeah, and there are, look for the Grief Share program anywhere. It's a very good program, and then the Stephen Ministries also reach out to those kinds of concerns as well.
We have mentioned planning several times.
Several.
For those of you who are approaching retirement, contemplating it, or need some guidance there, plan ahead.
So, excuse me. I listened to a really good podcast called the Rock Retirement Club. And so just Google it, Rock Retirement. And it's a guy down in Texas. And a lot of it is financial, but it's also just preparing for your retirement. And part of that is financial, but part of it is spiritual, and part of it is social. And so he's got a thing where you can actually become a member, and that's a paying thing. But the podcast is really good, and it's given me a lot to think about.
More questions? Rev, should I invoke Leviticus? Good friend of mine, Brian Mallison, retired as the pastor of Christ Lutheran Church a month or so ago. And he saw this coming, and he had planned for it. And he sent out a letter to his congregation in December saying, I'm going to retire in March, I think it was. February, I don't know. End of February. And he said, a Spanish-speaking friend of mine said the word for retirement is jubilatio. And you might hear in that word jubilation, which you're happy that you're retiring, but I hear in that word jubilee. Jubilee is a word that comes from the book of Leviticus in the Bible. Because the ancient Hebrews believed that every 50 years you should celebrate a jubilee. It would be a year that you would take off from your usual tasks and devote yourself to self-reflection, renewal, prayer, and attention to family. And Brian Mallison said, that's what I'm going to do at the end, starting the end of February, starts my year of Jubilee. I hope all of you, when you reach that point in your lives, you have the same wonderful, open-minded, spiritual but practical approach to retirement as my friend Brian Mallison has. Meanwhile, I want to thank our panel, Brent Calvin, Kelly Kincaid, Lou Paradise, Donna Roscoe, and Mary Thomas. You weren't they a wonderful, enthusiastic panel? I thought they were terrific. And we appreciated everything that you shared with us tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here tonight. Next month at Tulare County Voices at 2:10, we'll be talking about mental health. Oh. May you stay mentally healthy until then. See you in June. Thank you.
See you again.